for the jurors' protection in this highly charged trial. Their faces cannot be shown on TV, but the questions they are asked and their responses certainly can be heard. Take a listen.
You stated you don't have an opinion about the case. I'm saying, what were your impressions? I mean, everybody, I'm assuming, has impressions. Maybe you didn't have any.
When I saw the scars on the back of his head, I didn't know that. I figured he was getting a pretty good beating.
Okay.
And somebody had to defend themselves. I figured it was a pretty rough fight.
Even before February, this event that is now in your mind about the stand your ground law, I would like you to talk to me about that. So what do you remember about what you heard about the stand your ground law?
Well, when we're talking about my memories, it's hard for me to differentiate what I remember reading and what I know about it.
The painstaking process is expected to last at least 2 weeks. Out of the initial pool of 500 potential jurors, we're just learning 41 have been dismissed so far. George Zimmerman has pled not guilty in the murder of Trayvon Martin, claiming he shot the teenager in self-defense after Martin attacked him. Trayvon Martin was unarmed. Let's go live to NBC's Carrie Sanders outside the courthouse in Sanford. So again, we knew that this would not be a quick process, but Carrie, 500 potential jurors, 41 have been dismissed. We're on day 2.
Exactly. So I think it's going to move perhaps even slower than many thought. The initial idea was they might be able to sit a 6-member jury here with alternates in about 2 weeks. Now let's talk about those dismissals. They're called dismissals for cause, which means that both the state and the defense agree that the way these people have presented information about themselves is a reason to just not have them even be part of the jury. It may be, we have not been actually given the actual questionnaires that they're filling out, but it appears to be, based on conversations in the court, that one of the questions on there is, do you have an opinion about this case? And it may be that people are answering that question with a direct answer about what their opinion is, and that would be a cause to have them removed from the potential jury pool here. There was one juror out of that 41 who was released yesterday, and that was an elderly gentleman, 65 years old, who had played in a garage band for some time and was hard of hearing and had to wear some sort of hearing apparatus to hear what was going on in the courtroom. While they did not specify the reason that he was released, it may be just that the technology there could be a problem, because remember, there are some 911 calls that the jurors are eventually going to have to listen to.
That's right, Carrie. Thank you very much. And joining me now, criminal defense attorney John Burris. We should also mention George Zimmerman has sued NBC Universal, the parent company of this network, for defamation, and the company has strongly denied his allegations. So, John, I've got a few more excerpts of questioning by the attorneys to the jurors. I want to play a man identified as Juror B7 talking about the concern of being on this jury and being, in a sense, responsible for whatever verdict is ultimately reached. Let me play it.
I was concerned, what if I'm chosen and we make a decision and a friend of mine, maybe even a family member, is very strongly opposed to the verdict that we rendered.
Right.
You know, like would I alienate that person?
Sure.
You know, how would I handle that? You know.
You know, John, that is really a new world order in this world of Twitter and Facebook and post interviews by jurors. The concern of the aftermath. We certainly saw it after the Kaylee Anthony trial, O.J. Simpson and others, Jodi Arias, where the audience, if you will, at home lashes out at the jury if the decision is reached that they are not happy with.
That's a legitimate concern, and it's one that that happens in a lot of cases. And we often ask jurors, how is this going to, can you make a decision that might be negative toward the people in your family, and how would you handle that? And many people have said it has been a concern of theirs. But at the end of the day, that everyone has to deal with that question. I think that you cannot give them a foolproof answer because people have reactions to it. The question is, how important is it to them? And if it's too important for them, therefore that causes them to make a decision one way or the other, then they should be excused for cause.
Now, in the intro, we played another juror that talked about, a potential juror, I should say, that talked about what he knew as fact versus what he thought he heard on the news. B35 juror, potential juror identified as B35, talked about these rallies last year that were heavily covered, potentially rallies that helped result in where we are, which is now this trial. Let me play the exchange between potential juror B35.
A whole lot of indiscretion and angry people and picketing people,
Sure.
and a lot of news media.
Okay. Now, we have the First Amendment, we have the Second Amendment, we got all kinds of amendments. How did you feel about, in terms of people having rallies around it? Did you form an impression based on that? Did you feel that was proper or not proper? What kind of things went through your mind?
But not really proper or improper. I mean, they can do what they can do as long as it's peaceful.
And did you think it was inappropriate what they did?
I think maybe it was overdone.
John, what is your thought as a defense attorney on that line of questioning for that juror?
Well, certainly from my point of view, as a defendant in this case, that might be a juror that I might want, in large measure because the testimony or the comments really are suggesting that the people making the rally, they may have been Trayvon Martin type people, and so therefore they're saying that, look, whatever happened was over the top, it was inappropriate, and they were maybe doing more prejudice against my client than necessary, than is appropriate. So,
but would it seem that potential juror has already formed a strong opinion here?
It certainly would suggest that they have a strong opinion about the type of conduct that was taking place. I don't know that I necessarily think that they've formed a strong opinion about the case itself. From the lawyer's point of view, each of them have to try to put that aside to make sure that that is not reflective of an opinion about the facts of the case. I mean, they could be totally saying that, look, I didn't like the activity that was taking place in terms of the rallies, et cetera, et cetera. That doesn't mean that Trayvon was right or that Mr. Zimmerman was right, and so you want to hone in on the person's more state of mind in terms of his opinions, whether or not they're concrete about the case itself, because that ultimately is what matters. Do they have an opinion, and so can they set that opinion aside?
Let me play one more excerpt from the questioning of potential juror B7, who used an interesting word, John, which was offensive. Let's listen.
I haven't heard enough of the case. I find it, kind of offensive that people would, especially, would, say something like that about a dead man or someone who's been through what Mr. Zimmerman has.
So this person referring to, they found, and I'm assuming here, the media coverage of some of the things they saw offensive, that what they would say about Trayvon Martin and what George Zimmerman has been through. If we're reading into what he is saying correctly, he's showing some kind of empathy for both sides here. Would that be, if that's the accurate depiction of his words, a great potential juror?
Sure, it could be. I mean, it certainly means that this juror sees the case in a broader context, and that he understands that there's positives on both sides and negatives on both sides, and he's prepared to look in the middle of it. He's a person who starts off with sort of an unbiased state of mind about this, and each side could probably feel comfortable, given consideration to the other answers he has. You don't know what other opinions he has, but certainly on this area, it seemed like he would stay in the box for now, given without knowing the other questions have been asked.
And just quickly, now that we're looking at only about 40 potential jurors dismissed here, is that about on schedule for a case of this nature, which honestly could not be really compared to anything because of the dynamics of the law, the guns, race, and all of these other issues?
There are a lot of factors here. I don't know that I would say it's consistent with any other, but I would say that I would be concerned, certainly if I was Trayvon Martin, I'd want to know who these 41 people are and whether or not there's a statistical issue here that more blacks are being disqualified out of this period or not. And sometimes people get disqualified very early in it, and it obscures the jury panel in a statistical negative way for African Americans, and that part could be troubling to me if I'm the prosecution.
All right, John Burris, thank you very much. And